And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wandering Squires Cup. This is the Iron Kaiser, and this is my continuing adventure in this tournament series. This is the round of 16, and I'm up against a new opponent, tenfingertom, in a best-of-3 battle. For this casting session, I'm once again joined by Hiram of Tyre. Hiram, how you doing today?
You know, every time you ask that, my answer is always the same, but I can't bring myself to change it. Any day that I get to cast AoE is a good day.
Me too, yeah.
That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
So, this was a really, really fun series. I think there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to enjoy about the series. I think you're going to enjoy it. I know I enjoyed playing it. So, here we are, game 1 of a best-of-3. And we have two really interesting civilizations that are great for Nomad. We have tenfingertom, my opponent in the blue, playing as the Persians, right? And the Persians have a couple of features that I think make them really good for Nomad. The first is they start the game with 50 bonus food and wood, and it's the wood that's really critical there. Because what that means is you can get a dock and get a fishing ship going right away, right? It gives them a very strong fishing economy right out of the gate. It makes them really good for Nomad. But the Malians get cheaper wood discounts on all of their buildings. And functionally, that means that they can also get a fishing boat out right away. And I find that for kind of these early Nomad strategies, the ability to get a fishing ship out right out of the gate so you get that food production going faster is a very, very strong opening for Nomad play. Obviously, that doesn't work for Arabia or your typical maps, but on a map like this, yeah, it works out. So, otherwise, the civilizations are pretty interesting. Again, the Persians, I think you've heard me say this before, Hiram. Like, they don't really have a lot of bonuses. They really don't.
Right.
But the bonuses they do have are really impactful. In addition to starting out with the 50 food and wood, bonus, their town centers and their docks produce faster. And so that's really solid if you're getting into a naval battle, if you are, again, trying to get more vills out. There's some very strong economy bonuses there and some navy bonuses. On the other hand, the reason I chose Malians is because they are just so flexible. You have things like the longer-lasting gold mines.
Yeah.
That means that you're not having to run across the map to find more gold quite as often, which seems to be the case in Nomad. And you have a very wide, broad tech tree. Unlike some of the other meta Nomad choices, let's say, for example, you go Spanish, right? Well,
right.
The strategy with Spain is pretty obvious. Everyone knows what you're going to do as the Spanish. You're going to go conquistadors and knights, right? With the Malians, though, and even with the Persians, I would predict he's probably going to go knights as the Persians. That's pretty classical Persian play. But with the Malians, you can do anything. You can do archers, you can do knights, and the thing that jumped to my mind with the Malians is they have knights with additional infantry with extra pierce armor.
That's what I was going to say. That the thing between the two, obviously, it's player versus player, not just Civ v Civ. So, you can't overemphasize the Civ. You and I have both seen light cav Civs take or nearly take almost like islands maps, which really shouldn't be the case against a naval Civ, but they do sometimes. So, having said that, if you're the Persians, you've got a couple options. You can go knights, but knights are pretty easy to counter with solid infantry. Well, how would you counter that infantry? Theoretically, you'd counter it with archers, but the Malians are so good against archers.
Right.
That's going to be difficult to do, even with something like a cav archer. So that leaves the Persians either having to tech into something like a hand cannoneer or having to field just bigger hordes.
Yeah.
My prediction right now between the two civs, I favor the Malians.
Well, that was definitely what was in my mind. Other than, I knew I wanted a civilization that would give me that early fishing ship, situation. Just being able to come right out of the gate, get the fishing ships going. I knew that would be a big bonus. But on top of that, the idea of being able to mass up infantry that had that pierce armor and being able to maybe do something, cheesy against an early town center and knock it out fast, or I don't know. I felt like that would be useful, and instead of necessarily needing to go knights, thought that'd be a good move.
He's one villager up as it stands right now, although you're not far behind, and you're one fishing ship up. So that kind of shows the balance exactly that you were talking about before.
What time are you at?
Two different variants. My time right now is at 9:28.
Okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, so okay, so I'm looking at the capture age numbers, and they have us like dead even. I guess he's up 1.
Yeah, he was up a villager, and you were up a fishing ship. So,
I think now I'm up a villager, and
now you're up 1,
and he's up 2 fishing ships. Which just shows it is a very close game. So far
it's variants on a theme bonuses,
Right.
So,
and here you notice he's going for the second dock, and that was something throughout the tournament. Something I noticed a lot is putting a priority on getting a second dock down in order to get out more. Once you start trying to contest the water, having 2 docks, being able to produce, 2.
I feel for him a little bit because
that?
he was scouting with a cow, or a water buffalo, I guess. And he got it right next to your town center, but just barely missed the whole thing. If you're trying to scout, you knew exactly where it was, and you just didn't want to reveal it. That would have been how to do it. So he might know where you are right now. He's got an idea, a rough idea, but he doesn't know exactly.
That's sad. Wow.
Yeah. So.
And it looks like a very close tech up time between the two of us. Looks like I'll beat him just barely.
Yep. Of course, Vill numbers are the same as it stands between the two, or at least worker numbers are the same between the two. Again, you have two more Vills.
Yeah.
He has 2 more boats.
Which, when you're going up against the Persians, I think having more villagers is... I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anytime I go against the Persians, it's obviously one of those, the quintessential Persian play is the town center play. And on Nomad, not that I would expect to see it there, but there's always just this part of me that wonders if, the hunt down and destroy.
Yeah.
Although that got nerfed.
Yeah, I am really glad he did not try to Persian town center drop me. That would have just been the worst. I don't know. I think that the treaty... Well, they don't even have the treaty in this version, so... One thing I got to give him credit on is he had the 2 docks up much faster than I did. And I think that gave him an opportunity that, I did not, because I'm only just now putting up the second dock.
Yep. So he brings out the galleys, and he starts trying to take out your fishing eco. You have a fire galley on hand, but he's just kind of kiting you back.
Right.
So 2v1. I don't know. Yep, it looks like you're going to take it. Brings in a second galley. Third galley. And it looks like he's got control of the water. I favor galley. I know people say go fire ships first just because if you have only 1 or 2, it's easier. But I favor the galley play. You can micro. You can kite. You can do a lot more with the galley than you can with a fire ship. And worst comes to worst, if there's no major naval conflict, you can use the galley oftentimes to harass inland. Not always, but sometimes. A fire galley, once you have control over the water, those resources they're no longer in play. They can no longer do you any good. So I like the galley play for him here.
Well, this is definitely something where you're right. He has the early lead. And what I was hoping to do is kind of split his naval force, draw him out. That's why I've got my fishing boats all the way over there.
Now I can see you've got a fire galley. Yep, and you just pull the fire galley out, and he's got a choice. Now he could, I suppose, push up with his remaining galleys, and I think this is a mistake by his part. He's leaving 3 of his galleys to shoot at a dock, which, let's be honest, that's not going to do anything. Not anything significant. 3 galleys is going to take forever to knock down a dock. Or if you were to keep harassing your fishing, your fishing ships and especially your fire galleys, you can cause significant resource damage.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah. Something else I'm noticing too, tenfingertom has the resources to go up to castle. And I don't know whether he's distracted with the situation down here. He doesn't have the buildings up yet. He is in...
It doesn't look like he has the buildings.
Yeah, no, he needs the buildings, but he's not even prioritizing getting those buildings up, and I think this
is a mistake.
That's slowing him down.
He's focused on the naval battle, which is important. Let's be honest. It is important.
Nomad games are so often won or lost. I mean, you're right. It's not everything, but I just find that oftentimes whoever takes control of the water ends up winning the whole thing. There's so many free resources. Like even in this lake, you've got, what is that? 225 times 9 plus 225 times 5. I mean, it's thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah. But you're right here. He could have been going up to castle a long time ago. He's only just getting a market up, which is a good move. It's going to let him buy what he needs to, or sell his excess, buy the wood he might need to get the second building up. So I like the market play. I gotta say though, if you're gonna go galleys, you really should get your range upgrades, the fletching at least.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. If you're gonna play galleys, you got to play them right. So he decides to go market barracks again. This is a mistake. You're setting yourself 2 buildings behind at this point. Now, you need to get some military on the field, but if you're not feeling the pressure already, you probably aren't going to, or at the very least, if it's an even match on the water, and so far it largely has been, you have to expect that since the score's even, your opponent's probably not going to have the resources to do much more on land than you are. What I would have liked to see from tenfingertom is obviously a barracks straight away, and then a blacksmith and a stable. Get your fletching upgrade from the blacksmith to back your galley play, and send a few scouts in. He knows about where you're at.
Now, one thing I realized is I've harassed him, but I'm kind of slipping down here in the water.
Yeah.
So I decided to get a dock up in this center lake area.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know at the time that it's disconnected. I think I only just figured that out. I still don't, as far as I'm concerned, it's probably connected to the outside ocean.
Right.
But I figured, if I can build a dock here, again, I can take advantage of all of this food, and, maybe he'll leave me alone. As far as my fishing eco here in the water, I didn't want to give that up.
Right. No, I get that. So here's a question. If that's your decision, why'd you go the fire galleys? You're still producing them. Are you still wanting to contest the water, or are you just trying to not let him know that you're seeding the outer lake?
A little of A, a little of B. I got this feeling that I went with the regular galleys for a little bit there, and then they just got obliterated. But I got the feeling that if I stayed on the fire ships, I could continue to harass him, shut down his food eco.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had lost yet. He had momentum.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
Oh, now take a look. Wait. In his base.
Yep. He gets up a second TC, but you have knights on the field, and he has no answer to those knights, so he's going to lose. Yeah, that's what, 3, 4, 5 villagers? That's a lot of villagers. Good play.
Yeah, and this was one of those moments. It kind of reminds me of the Fede El Manco set from last round, where his instinct, his first move, was to put up a second town center and go heavy into the economy. And I think just putting the pressure on him right as he invests in the eco worked out really well.
Yeah, I'd say.
And meanwhile, he is actually trying to attack me back with a knight of his own.
Yeah, I see that. He takes out one of yours, but his is largely weakened by the end of that. It's not going to be able to do much more. He's still continuing to produce villagers, kind of, which is good. He's got a higher idle TC time, so can't be that good. And the forward castle play. Now, if I was him, I would expect this, assuming that I've watched some of your games by now. You get the momentum.
I love the forward castle.
Almost like clockwork.
Don't take my forward castle from me. I love it.
I like the placement of this here. It's not going to be easy for him to loop guys around. What I want to know is if you've learned your lesson enough to wall your villagers in, seeing that he has only melee on the field. Have you learned? Okay, so there's one wall. Okay. I suppose I'll accept that as a compromise.
Look, there you go.
No, there we go.
There you go.
There we go. You have learned your lesson.
Yeah.
And it ends up being a good thing because what comes in? Knights.
And I knew the knights were coming.
A monk on hand.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Yes, there we go.
Monk gets a conversion. That's pretty solid.
Tenfingertom says yoink.
Now he should know by now. He should know, at least based off of what he's got on the field, that he's lost that position. He has 3 knights, but he's not 3 knights aren't going to break through what you've got. And now that he sees the camels, he should be pulling his villagers back from this town center. It's gone. He's going to lose them. There he goes. Okay, so he pulls them back. That's a good play. He buys stone.
Yeah. This was another game where and I highlight this because I'm only just learning to do these kinds of things, but the power of monks and being able to, get those kills, heal up units, the early Castle Age potential of the monks is just fantastic.
I know, Spirit of the Law did a calculation where in combat, any resource spent in monks is almost always better spent on units.
I think we're talking about healing. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the healing goes. And leaving conversions out of it for a sec, because conversions are kind of obvious.
I'm sorry, I gotta call this out. Notice in the south he's got 2 stables, and now he's raiding me with knights. So
I see that.
This is gonna become pretty dramatic.
So yeah, and he's got the knights on hand. What's your response? So he goes outposts. I like this from him too. I'm learning to love and appreciate the power of just having constant vision. I used to diss it, but not anymore.
We both have feudal age blacksmith decks here.
Yep. But it's camels versus knights.
Right. I'm relying on the anti-cav bonus of the camels.
Yep.
Then I'm like, okay, I must have handled those knights. I'll go away now. And then as soon as I run off, more knights from the Persians. Oh, man.
Not only that, but your vills were idle between them.
Yep.
So,
and that
you get an eco. You take an eco hit from the idle time, and then you take an eco hit as your villagers are just ripe for the picking. That's gotta hurt.
But I am raiding him at the same time, so we both have slain over 30 vills apiece.
I think you're doing better than him as far as eco kills. Not the least of which because, he's built a second TC, but so have you. And at this point, you forced him off of his first TC, so he's built a third. But that comes at the cost of time. It's not idle vill time, but it's not productive vill time in the sense that they've got to spend the time building something that they've lost, not adding to the pool.
So yeah, right now there are kind of 3 battles going on. There's my raiding into his base, which right now is kind of cooled off. There's his raiding into my base. Again, hello monks.
Yep, and then there's the naval battle.
I pushed him off of his 2 docks. Which it seems
like he's kind of seeded, which is kind of surprising considering he had the prio there. So I didn't think he'd seed that, but he has. It kind of makes sense. A lot of the fish down there is gone. You can give up those docks and just rely off of the ones you have in the north, food or resource-wise, in the sense of wood committed. It might come out ahead. So okay, I see that. Now, looking at just the resources you guys have on the field so far, you're in a much better position. 61 to his 48 now bills for workers, because we're including fishing ships in that. So there's that. But the balance of yours is better as well. He's got nobody on gold, or 1 now. Nobody on stone. You've got 3 and 4.
Yeah, and that would have been a lot more gold if I weren't having to deal with these knights, because what I wanted to do is claim the southern gold pile.
Right.
He has successfully, kudos to Tom here, he's kind of pushed me off gold. Well, I say push me off gold. He's pushed me off of that gold.
Yeah.
This whole time.
On the flip side, you've pushed him off of effectively all his gold. So, and he's going to lose a town center for it to boot. So, now he starts building a bunch of archery ranges, and this, especially against the Malians, kind of confuses me.
Yeah, so I don't think I see it. Yeah, I don't see it.
Archers don't really counter anything you've got on the field. They'll do okay against the camels.
But the key is, again, he's Persians, so you research the tech, and all of a sudden you don't need gold to pump out.
Yeah, the trash archers.
Yeah. I mean, they're trash archers, but they're archers. And I think that's what he's getting at. You know, and then he can use his gold for knights to back up the archers, and it's a pretty...
Yeah.
It's a
Again,
pretty potent
while I
combination.
grant that, just looking at what he's got right now, that tech comes from the castle, and he doesn't have a castle. So first he has to build the archery ranges, then he has to build the castle, then he has to research the tech at the castle, and then he can start building archers. And, you know, when you've got a castle knocking your face in, that doesn't seem to me to be the right play.
I need to take this wood and convert it into other resources.
Yeah.
Maybe putting down more farms, or you know, more whatever. I don't know, using the market or something. Wow. It's a night in the
Well,
camel.
you've gotten your initial eco. You've got your castle age lumber camp. You've got your feudal age mill tech. You've got wheelbarrow. So you've spent a lot of the wood that we would expect you to spend on eco techs. Of course, you could spend some of it on the second tier farm tech. But other than putting up more farms, I don't really see what you could do. More ships, I suppose. You could always go more ships.
That was the other possibility, right? More fishing ships, which I actually am doing. I'm pumping out more fishing ships.
Yeah. Looking at where he's set up here, if you were to put some galleys in the lake, you could range a lot of his villagers off of his TC.
And here we go.
Some of those farms.
Say hello to the Gabetto.
Hello, Gabetto.
I realized, he's going heavy into camels, so I thought, okay, well, I'll move Gabetto. They're very similar to knights. They're pretty fast moving. They can raid. They can do all this stuff. They don't have the, they don't take the extra damage from camels, but they have the attack upgrade still. So win-win, right? And then he shows up with archers. So it turned out it's kind of a good move, at least for that, response.
Yeah, I will grant that. I still don't think that was necessarily the right move. But I will grant that it's working here.
Yeah. I think the key thing about how the battlefield has developed thus far, though, is that at this point I've knocked out these stables here in the back, right? I mean, I'm clear, and now I get to put all of my attention on, the kind of the forward castle and advancing this one front line.
Here's the other thing. It looks like I'm just making a prediction here. It looks like he's about to get housed. You're knocking down these houses with your fire ships that he's placed up in the back, and they're just houses. But getting housed at a critical moment, especially when there's raiding units, Gabetto, knights, out on the field, and so you can't exactly just throw villagers out to build a house.
Here comes a Persian castle.
Yep. Now, I like that castle placement quite a lot.
I knew you would.
It's not just the elevation. It's the location behind the market, so you've got to advance quite a lot to get to it. It covers up to the water's edge, but it doesn't really offer itself to range unless you've got cannon galleon.
Yes.
It covers his stone and his wood line. Beautiful use of the mangonel. I like that a lot.
Unfortunately, there's only one good hit. I think if I got a second one, it would have been so tasty.
Yeah.
But
and it's covering his stone line and his wood line and his farms.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a beautiful location for a castle. I like it a lot.
I do agree. It is a really good castle spot. I'm now researching Sanctity. I feel like there's still potential for the monks.
Yeah.
So I want that extra HP. I want to be able to take more of his knights.
Now, I'm a little surprised you've kind of left the relics as long as you have. It looks like you're going to get them now, but I'm a little surprised you've left them as long as you have.
Yeah. I was moving up with my fire ships. I wiped out his galleys. I don't remember if I proceed to attack the the fishing ships or not.
You've got 2 idle galleys down on the southern area, and you've got another 2 idle up near the corner. If you were to just move them in right now, that wipes out so much of his food production.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got no cover.
And if I remember right, what was in my mind at the time was, I think he's still got some military, ships, some galleys out there. I want to go, take those. And he gets away with it. He gets to kill the monks.
So you lose the mangonel, and then you lose the monk too. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
And he tries to dive your villager backline. I don't think this is a good move for him. You're under castle fire. Vills, they can get quite a good distance, and even if you trade 1 Vill for 1 knight, I mean, let's be honest, the knight's the heavier loss, especially when you've got multiple TCs, and you do.
All right, so I now have 5 knights. I've got 10 Gebetto in the castle, and Trebs are coming out. Because you know me, I want to win that Treb war.
Yep, win the Treb war right after you hit Imp.
Right.
And he's just clicked up, which is good, but it's not going to be enough to win the Treb war. So first Treb out. I'm a little disappointed that you decided to go raid these farms instead of stealing them, but hey, you can't have everything, I suppose.
Right. And he's hitting me with the battering rams, which is... I was kind of surprised. I was shocked, to be honest with you, when I first saw them, but they're really not well supported. He's got a couple of crossbows, but they're not going to stop the knights. And
well, exactly. I don't think rams is the right play here, especially knowing that he's lost the melee war.
Yeah. And this also reveals the archer ranges to me. It's at this point where I start feeling really good about the game.
Yeah. So that's probably 1,000 wood he just threw away there on the rams into that TC.
Yeah. Just picked up Cavalier.
Yep. He's doing a pretty good job of keeping that castle alive, but to what end? Right, he's not producing anything out of it. And so he's venting the stone down the hole. It does prolong the inevitable, but it's not going to save him. Either keep your castle alive to produce stuff out of it, Trebs to win the Treb war, for instance, or a technology or something.
Because my Gebettos were manually tasked to the archery range, they did not switch to the crossbows when they popped out. He got so many kills that he didn't need to be getting.
Right.
And tenfingertom calls the GG.
Resource for resource. I think you win that trade, and there's the GG.
So I was really happy with game one. I think the big thing were that the Malians, again, have sort of a tech flexibility that worked out really well. And, I think he would make some tech switches. He eventually brought in camels, he go crossbows. But it felt like I always had a response to what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so game one felt really good.
Yeah. You also, I don't know, this is just one of those little OCD moments. You timed it with just the right number of fishing boats to where you have not quite fished out the center lake.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
again, not that you could have known this, but it is one of those oddly satisfying things to see the end of the game on.
Right. Yeah, kind of like that too. The thing that I am kicking myself on looking back at this game is look how much extra wood I'm floating.
Yeah, I see that.
That's something where, again, like I could be putting 15 guys off of wood and maybe putting them onto food or gold. Getting more on stone. I don't know, but I don't need to be floating that much wood, especially if I'm going primarily, Cavalier Knights.
Right.
You don't
right.
Need
Exactly. You're not going a wood unit.
Yeah, but still, game one goes to me. A really, really fun first set, and then that takes us into game two. Let's go. And here we are on Tenfingertom's home map, Golden Hill. So this is a really interesting nomad map. You start off in the middle of the hill, and you see that the middle island has most of the gold and the stone in the whole map. I mean, on each side, you have a little bit of gold here, a little bit of gold there, but almost all of it is on this center location. And I did, during the drafting phase, because, before you actually play the games, you have a little bit of, and there was we had to restart this because Tom accidentally deleted a couple of his vills and he called a restart, so I didn't want to win that way, and,
right.
I think the rules allowed him a restart regardless, so, so we restarted the game. Anyway, before you actually play the games, you have this drafting phase where you get to pull just a couple of civilizations that are yours and a couple of civilizations that are his. And when I saw that his home map was Golden Hill, I thought, well, the ultimate civilization in my playbook for area control are the Bulgarians, right?
Right, because Krapost.
Exactly. That's my game plan going into this, is get up to Castle Age as soon as I can, and try to get a Krepos down and just claim this island. If I can get a lock on this center location, I win the game.
Right.
Now,
although
Tom...
I think an argument could be made for polls as far as their area control.
You could, yeah. And looking back, I think that there are multiple civilizations you could point to as having very strong area control opportunities. Tom makes a move here, and this doesn't surprise me. It's his home map. I imagine he came into this map with a strategy in mind, right?
Right.
He does something that it took me way too long to think about, which is the same play as a regular Nomad game. Get a dock out as quickly as possible, start producing fishing ships. And he's the Japanese, so he's got better fishing ships than normal, right?
Yeah.
They collect faster, if I remember correctly. So he's going to have a really great fishing economy. And it takes me... I'm kind of playing this like a normal land nomad sort of game.
Yeah.
Right? I think, yeah.
Hey, I've got to step away for like 10 seconds.
That's
Sorry.
Fine. Yeah, no, you're good.
Pause or no pause?
No. Keep going. Just let it run. I'll keep commenting.
Okay.
So... I do eventually realize, hey, wait a minute. Maybe a dock wouldn't be such a bad idea. But, of course, at this point, he already has at least one fishing ship on the table. So I'm kind of hoping, even as I'm putting this dock up, I'm hoping maybe he didn't put a dock up, which was naive and foolish considering he's playing Japanese, right? I should have known. But I'm hoping maybe he didn't put a dock up, or maybe I can fish with impunity. I'm I'm kind of hoping I can just get away with free fishing eco, right?
I know you said it took you way too long to realize, and okay, maybe so, but it doesn't take you that long. You get a dock and you're only one worker behind him. Now you've tied it. Now he's one ahead. So yeah, you're a little behind, but you're not that far behind. Now, granted, he is the Japanese, so his fishing eco is going to be better than yours, but still, for it not being your home map, that's pretty good timing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it could have been a lot later than it was. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I was just... I remember when I was playing the game, I was suddenly like, oh, hey, wait a minute. There's like a river here, and the river has fish. Maybe I should do some docking,
maybe I should use those.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that if I had... One of the things that I did not do preparing for the tournament was to sit down and boot up a skirmish match on each of the possible maps.
Right.
I kind of went in, I knew how to play Nomad, and then I would know how to play my home map, and then I just try to wing it, on whatever home maps the enemy player brought in. And I was sort of, as I was playing this match, I was kind of feeling that. Like, oh, wow, maybe I should have, again, kind of had a...
Yeah.
Had a sort of a game plan in mind.
Now, granted, hindsight is 20/20, but on the flip side, if you've not done several games experience with the map, I almost find trying to play on them all worse, because then you're going, oh wait, was this the one where I want to do this, or was it the one I want to do that? And you end up getting crossed wires, and it's almost worse than if you just go off of what you see as you see it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, there are some positives, right? Right now, I've got only 5 seconds of idle TC time to his 22.
Yeah.
Even though he does have higher bills, because I think he's been doing more with the dock. But I'm not too far behind, dock-wise. So, just trying to keep things going and keep myself from getting housed. I'm pretty happy with that.
I do think the Japanese is a very strong pick on this map.
Yeah.
It's not open enough to where Cav are just going to automatically dominate, so the infantry focus is going to be huge. The fishing eco is definitely there, and if you're not expecting it, then the Japanese fishing eco is going to be very good.
Right.
It also doesn't lend itself to perfect archer play either. So archers is one of the quintessential Jap counters, and yeah, I think Japs is a really good play here.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think just even this game sort of clued me in on the potential that the Japanese have as a nomad civilization generally, especially if they're allowed to just boom free, with their fishing economy. This is working out really well for him, and you can see we're both 28 vils, but he just got enough food to go up to the feudal age. I am not, near.
Now,
there.
Granted, that's partially because you have 15 on food and he has 18 on food.
Yeah.
You've put a little too many on wood.
Yeah. Right. And so that was kind of like, okay, how do I balance maybe getting more on the dock and one thing I don't do, which I did in the last game, is, do I get a second dock up? Do I contest the water?
Yeah. One thing he's doing that I want to point out that is making a huge difference in that is he's got a mill in between the two little lakes and is getting the shore fish.
Yeah.
Not just the fish in the middle, but the shore fish.
Yeah.
So, number one, you don't have that kind of placement. So that's just luck of the draw. You could have put a mill up near the deer and gotten the deer and the shore fish there. So, the option was kind of there, but it didn't land in your lap the way it landed in his. So worth knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. So now he's just hit feudal, and I'm just starting feudal. So I am at this point I'm sweating a little bit. Like, boy, oh boy, I hope maybe I've got some sort of fast castle thing going. Maybe I don't know. I'm just hoping that he kind of stays on his half of the map, and gives me enough time to kind of initiate my strategy.
did it ever occur to you to wall him off via the shallows? Because if you look at it, that's his only road over, unless he builds a transport.
No, it did not occur to me at all. The idea of just like, because at this point, I don't know that I actually. No, I don't know where on the map he is. You know, like I mean, we can see the full thing, so, but I didn't know where the bridge was. So, and I guess it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. But I never thought, okay, maybe I can, just totally wall him off, and
right.
That would have been a clever move. Here, he's hitting me with two galleys, and this time, unlike the last game, and you called this time he's got the fletching upgrade right out of the gate.
Good for him. This is the right play.
So the galleys now are more effective, and here I got a second dock. So yeah, I want to contest the water. I've kind of got this idea, like, maybe I can do things. But take a look at this. Here's the thing. I did not have access to any gold, right? Because I didn't see on my map, if you look at my Fog of War, I didn't, TC next to any gold. So I thought the only gold that's out there is in the center. I want to contest the center. And tenfingertom comes in with a Japaneseville, and he's going to try to tower out of the gate. I love this move from Tom, and I wish I'd thought of it. I go Bulgarians. I'm so focused on the Krepos. I'm so focused on the unique opportunities that the Bulgarians provide. But Tom realizes I can just get towers down right away. I don't need to wait to the castle age, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, this is really, really solid from him.
Yep. Now I like this. Okay, so he's got 8 villagers there, and that's where he's deciding to build the tower.
Yeah.
I've got to say, at this point, if you just go all out Vill v Vill, you win. You've got 12 Vills to his 8 on that island.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple palisades to protect that tower, but not a lot of palisades.
Yeah. I think I make a huge mistake here, not realizing that I can knock down his watchtower.
Yeah. One of the most eureka moments I've had in AoE is understanding that 4 Vills can knock down a watchtower without losing a single one. Because it feels like the watchtower is just that strong, and obviously that assumes that they haven't built houses or palisades up near the base or whatever. But I just remember where I set up like three watchtowers around a person's TC, and he just takes 4 villagers and one after another knocks them down. And it was like, wait, what? That's allowed?
Right. But see, I think what happened though is I was so focused, and here he's finally deleted that watchtower.
Yep.
Now he's going for a new one. He's got an archer out.
Now, if you take all your villagers right there and drop your own watchtower, you win that battle.
Yeah, probably. What I'm thinking though is, okay, well I'll place a watchtower defensively and make sure that I can claim at least half of the map.
Yeah.
And that way
kind of a tit for tat strat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a bad idea as long as you're able to keep inside his OODA loop. I think you called it though. He's got 4 on gold back at home while all this is going on.
Right.
You, on the flip side, don't have anyone. So you could maybe make up for that via some clever market play. Especially since right now he's losing more gold than you are in the naval battle.
Yeah.
So you might be able to make up for that. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal to have 4 on gold versus none on gold.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that was sort of the... I did kind of wipe out his early galley push with a couple of fire galleys, losing 1. So I only got the 1 fire galley left. And there we go.
Yep, there we go. Now, it's also worth pointing out that so far, pretty much every unit he's placed on the field has benefited from that fletching technology.
Yeah. Yes.
Between the galleys and the towers, he's put the money where it needs to go.
And the nice thing is, good news, I've got the Vill lead right now. Woo woo. Bad news is he's going up to castle right now with 1,100 food in the bank. I have been struggling with, whatever it is, 10 Vills on food and, whatever. It's like I have next to no food at all.
Yeah.
And it was at this moment when I suddenly became very, very, very worried
Right. Now, if I'm you, I'm looking at the center and I'm going, okay, I need to throw down another watchtower. And it looks like that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
So that's a good placement. I also like how you have it against the mill.
Mm-hmm. And again, this whole time, my thinking is still, well, I hope I can get up to Castle Edge fast enough I can get a Krippos down.
Yeah.
I can get a Krippos. And, you know, I think that was a mistake where what I should have been doing was, like you mentioned, you know, look at how he's able to just loop his archers around and shut down, you know, the archers and the gold of the stone and everything.
Yeah.
This is a tough situation to be in.
I think one other thing you could have done is put your villagers inside a tower.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, each one is shooting one arrow. If you duck them in for a second, that's one volley kills one archer.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between, you know, 3 archers walking away, missing a little health apiece, and one archer walking away, leaving 4 dead bodies behind.
Yeah. Here, he's hitting me with war galleys, and my feudal age fire galley just does not have it in him, you know, to take on 4
So
war galleys.
he throws down a forward castle, and if he's able to get this up, if you miss this, this is GG as far as the center goes. He's got one tower, 1 castle, and the military prio.
I don't know that I noticed it. I don't remember.
If you had noticed this, I think throwing down a castle or a tower right next to his castle would have been enough to push his vills off, especially if you garrisoned.
Yeah, I think I'm so focused on what's going on with the Navy, because again, I've only just now hit the resources to go to Castle Age.
You know, this reminds me of the last series, where it's clear that your opponent knows their home map, which, I mean, let's be honest, you expect. You expect that your opponent knows their home map in a way that you might not. But just watching his timings here, his uptime is pretty clean. His tower placement is also pretty clean. There's a little overlap, but not a lot between his castle and his tower.
Right.
And he's claimed at least 2/3 of that center area, a couple melee units, and you're going to be pushed off of your last tower, and the center is his.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And here we have Samurai coming out now. So there's that melee, you know, you were talking about.
Yep. On the flip side, 46 to 44, he's got the momentum, but the eco is not dominating. He's got a little lead, but not a lot of a lead. Samurai move forward to deal with that central tower.
Yeah,
I don't see you being able to hold this.
No, and
you
this is where I'm like I realize what I need are multiple watchtowers, you know, protecting each other.
Yeah.
And I was just slow to realize what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, every villager that is on stone, until I can actually get to Castle Edge and drop a Krippos, every vill that's been on stone is vill time that's been wasted. You know, because they're not. What do you do here? So I don't have military on the
redirect
field
for him.
Yeah.
Now I like how you do this. You pop out your vills and you give him the choice: either attack my vills on this tower and expose your samurai to archer fire.
That was my thought. Yeah, and it was a good idea.
I think what you should have done is popped out your healthier vills and left the other ones in the tower, because you know, one samurai strike death and that vill hasn't really distracted or kited that much. But a vill in the tower, or an extra couple of vills in that tower, means that the samurai that attacking your vills out don't necessarily fare so well.
And finally,
at this point, if I'm you, I'm feeling pretty low.
I don't feel good here. I've got a couple scouts. Maybe I can do some raiding or something. I don't. This is a desperation play with the scouts.
Here's why haven't you walled?
Yeah, because I'm so focused. And now, I've hit the castle edge. I can get my crep post up. Mwahaha. That's what I'm all about. Is the crep post.
Yeah.
and you see he's got a second town center up, so he's starting to get that eco, strength going.
So I like your finishing of the watchtower before moving on to the Cray Post. I think that's a good play. I don't know if it'll be enough, but I think it's a good play.
Oh, this is a tragic moment right here. I forgot to... his Vil, back in his base, I had my 2 scouts hitting this Vil.
Yeah.
The Vil gets down to one last hit, right? I accidentally draw them off the Vil early. Here we go. I'm raiding. Now I've got some knights trying to claim the center again.
No, I like the knight's play.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be... I don't know. I can't tell for sure if his castle is covering that watchtower, but it might be possible to drop a couple knights on that watchtower safely. I don't know. I do like the usage of the knights. You need to get that Cray Post up, though.
And what is... I'm forgetting. What did I do here? I was distracted by something. I must be distracted by the Navy. Yeah, his Navy's pushing in. It's actually... And of course, I didn't consider this when I popped my TC down.
Yeah.
That, these galleys could actually reach in. Like you were saying last game. The galleys can reach in and, harass my land units. What kind of nonsense is that?
Everyone goes fire ships. Galleys is the better play. You have to do more of them. You have to micro them. But they're the better play.
So now what I'm trying to do, did I ever consider walling? No, I did not. But what I'm trying to do now is say, okay, if I put the Cray Post forward, I can just block off, this whole area. And then functionally I've walled it off. I think I'm so focused on... I want to relieve my pressure here. Something, maybe I'll just send the knights in and maybe they can do something. I don't know. I throw them away here. This was just a bad move.
I think they might have been able to do something if they were full health. That's not necessarily a bad play.
Yeah.
But 5 of them or 4 of them were like 1 or 2 rounds away from death. And at that point, truly, it's not going to go well. What you might have been able to do, believe it or not, is use a monk.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. Yeah. So this is game 2. Well played, Tom. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Tom, if you're out there and you're watching this, well done. It's like you knew your home map. You brought the strategy. A+, right? That was one of the deciding factors in my estimation for this game was Tom had the strategy on lock for this map, for Golden Hill. And I did not. I always felt like I was... Even if we rewound the game, I think there were a couple of moments where maybe I had momentum or had at least was going even, but I always felt like I was coming up with whatever I needed to do next on the fly, right? So I felt like he had the momentum, and the strategy was perfect. I think the other thing that really worked out for him was kind of a luck of the draw, where his Vils, as soon as they came out from the center hill, he had access to gold on his home side. I think he had, like you said, the fishing ship or the fishing lake and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and I think, if you go to my Fog of War, there is a little bit of gold just outside of my Fog of War that I don't see. The whole time, I'm just operating on wood, wood and food, and trying to claim, the gold and the stone in the center, thinking that's the only place where I can get access to those resources.
Yeah.
I think that gave him a big advantage. And then the biggest thing was, for me, not thinking about towers until it was too late, giving him that advantage. If I had been the first one to get towers down, that might have been a different game. But Tom really takes it there.
Well played. I've got to say though, if you were able to wall off the shallows, because you had Vils there first.
Yeah.
If you had known the map enough to know that only shallows connect the center to the lake, to the lands, and you had gotten some kind of defense up there, even absent all the other criteria, you would have held on the center long enough to get your Cray Posts up, to get your Conics up, or whatever else you wanted to do to dominate, and it's a different game. But no walls, open center means archers and samurai do what they do best. And, I don't think you ever got a Krapos up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got one Krapos that's almost there, but yeah. I mean, he had.
I've also got to say, I appreciate the headspace to recognize that the game's over. There's some people who are like, never surrender, or whatever, and there's value in that. But at the same time, understanding that this is a best of 3 game and spending your best headspace fighting a battle that's already probably lost. Looking at the scoreboard, he's got twice your score.
Right.
It's not as if that doesn't come without a cost, because fighting a losing battle statistically, and this is a true story, makes you less likely to win the following battle.
That was where my head was at too. I was thinking that the game's already lost, and I can either expend energy trying to win a losing battle, which like if I saw a path to victory, I would have gone for it. But I did not see anything. I don't think I even realized that I had any gold on the map. So that would have been a part of it. Is I thought he's claimed all of the gold on the map.
All of the gold.
There's exactly. There is no response to that. It was sort of a combination of that and thinking, you're right. This is a best of 3. I want to go into game 3 with as much energy as I can. So,
like macro wise, as far as this game goes, well done to him.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate, like I said, the headspace of going, okay, go next. Give your best to the next game, not to the back foot.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Yep. So well played, Tom. And we move on to game 3. And here we are with the final game of the Wandering Squires Noob Cup round of 16. Myself versus tenfingertom. And this is a match that I think really starts before the game does. And that's in the drafting, right? So at this point, we both had 2 civilizations left to choose from. He had the Goths and the Mongols. I had the Byzantines and the Lithuanians. I assumed that he would go for the Mongol pick. The Mongols made sense on Mired. You got all the extra boar, so you have the faster hunt. I went into this thinking Mongols. And then he really surprised me going Goths. And so that right out of the gate kind of threw me for a loop, and now I'm thinking, okay, well, what is my response to a Goth player, right? So that was really interesting, and now I've got to consider the matchup between the Lithuanians and the Goths sort of mid-match, because mentally, all the way up to when we started up the game, I'm thinking Lithuanians versus Mongol. So that definitely makes this a fun matchup. The thing I enjoy about Mired... Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I've got to say, as somebody who has dabbled in Goths myself, I think the Goths makes a lot more sense here than the Mongols do. The extra attack versus boar, the extra carrying capacity. The Goths make a lot of sense on any map with significant boar presence. And, I mean, let's see how many boar are here.
Right.
That's 10 boar.
Yep.
And they're all within TC lure distance, so I think Goths make a lot of sense.
One thing that's nice, and it's a small thing, but he's able to get loom right out of the gate. That's nice if you're hunting boar. This is something I hadn't even considered before watching the replay just now. Is look at how he's able, he goes in, he gets one boar, and then he just goes and gets another one right away. Now, my mind is always about efficiency. Oh, no, you're wasting the meat. But what he's really doing is claiming those resources and making sure I don't get them.
Exactly. And boar for boar, that he is going to lose more resources off of them apiece.
Right.
And yet, that makes a big difference maybe if there are only 2 boar available to you. When there are 10 boar available to you, you can run those numbers a long time before it costs you anything.
Right.
So if I'm the Goths into the Lithuanians here, I'm feeling kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're going to go Cav, and I can deal with Cav, especially once I get up to Castle Age. In the Feudal Age, it's kind of unpleasant, but the trades are about even. As soon as I get up to castle, death for death, resource for resource, trades are pretty much in my favor. And then once you get up to imp, it's even more in my favor. So, your main unit is cav, my main unit is infantry, and amongst that is anti-cav. They're almost half off by the time I get to imp. I'm okay with those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What are you feeling as Lithuanians?
Well, that's definitely a concern of mine, because I am thinking, okay, Goths, late game, the memes are real. The Goth player, if he gets to Imperial, it's a very, very hard situation to be in if you don't have momentum. So my thinking is, I'm going to get to Castle Age. I'm going to try to get to Castle Age first. And I'm going to try to do some damage to him to really, kind of put the hurt on him early. And then I'll try to use that momentum to get the relics and, just kind of expand from there.
Right.
But generally my thought at this point is simply, let's try to, maybe hit him before he can hit me.
Right.
Right.
Because on the nature of bonuses and advantages, etc. Against the Goths, the later you fight, the worse it is. Mm-hmm. Period.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things. If this had been Arabia, I probably would have even maybe tried to drush or something like that. I knew that I couldn't do that on this map because, with a nomad map, you're typically situating your town center right on top of those resources. There's nowhere that I could, swing in and hit with a drush.
Right.
But I'm trying to figure out how can I do some early damage before he can really take off as a Goth player. Yeah.
Just playing it out here. If I'm Lithuanians, my impulse is tower rush. Because you're right, you can't push him off his woodland. Yeah. He's built his town center next to wood. You also assume you can't push him off of his gold line, at least not per se. What you can do is position a tower to where if he comes out to mine gold, he loses vills.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. Now, I do have a little bit of stone, so yeah. That would have been a good call. There you guys luring more board. You gotta love that. Not free loom, but
right.
That instant loom and. So, and now this is the sad situation right now where I'm sending out, or I sent out, I think I've got the one villager looping around trying to find more boar. But that cursed tenfingertom, he's already claimed all of the boar on the map here. So, kudos to him.
Now, I know you told me from last set that the reason you chose this map was for the boar.
Yeah, well, more specifically, I wanted a map where I didn't have to worry about the water side of things, especially after the way the last match went. I wanted a game where I could just play a relatively speaking, a more traditional, land map. And of all of the maps that are available in the Wandering Squires Cup, Nomad is the one that seems to allow that. So that's why that's my home map. Here he goes. Now he's getting the barracks up already. I do not yet have a barracks. And this right here is a move that I love. I love this. I've seen a couple of Goth players do it, so I don't know if it's meta or if it's just a good strategy. But I'm going to give tenfingertom kudos regardless. Archery range.
Yeah.
As a Goth player. What? The Goths don't have an archery range bonus. Goths don't. You don't expect archers from the Goths, or at least I don't. I didn't.
It's not as bad as Spanish, but it's like, it's not their thing. Why are you doing that?
Right. And that's something that I love about his choice, and I think it's going to give him an early advantage in this matchup. Compared to last game, with the Bulgarians, I kind of tunneled in on what makes Bulgarians, and their unique thing. And having civilization unique abilities and traits is excellent, but you run the risk of like tunnel visioning in on only the things that you have special gifts in and missing out on the full range of options that your civilization has, even the stuff that they don't necessarily have a bonus to. That's something I talk about every once in a while in the Average Age Plays playlist. And, here, this is a great example of this. Goths don't get a bonus for archers, but I'm certainly not expecting archers, and that gives him, just this surprise factor that works out really well for him, even though Goths aren't an archer civ.
The other thing I want to point out is the way he's structuring his walls is brilliant. It's really good. If you look, you're walling the back line of your base, which, if you swing both of the lines of your walls outward into their respective wood lines, you could wall off your entire base with fewer walls if you swing it outward. But you're walling off that back line anyway. Now, there's advantages to that. You can defend the whole thing with a few archers. That's one of them, or a tower. But the where he's placing his walls is brilliant. He's even using the berries on the back end as a bolster to his palisades. So, while he isn't completely walled off, he isn't terribly open either. And as a Goths player, that's incredible.
Now, this is one of those things where, boy, I'm going double stable. And my game plan, because I'm going up to Castle Age, he's not even near going up to Castle. My game plan is get stables up, and then I can, get knights out, and the knights will just clear whatever his feudal age archers are, right? Which I think is a good move, and normally I think would have been a successful move. In this case, though, he just so happened to swing his archers around to where and watch this poor Vil over here on the side gets killed by a tiger.
Oh my.
Yeah,
poor
I mean,
guy.
it was a rough situation. So he got there with 96% down on my second stable. That stable doesn't go up, and he shuts down part of my food production, which was perfect for him because this is right when I am I'm hurting for food. I've gone up to Castle Age, but I don't have a lot of food in the background. I need food.
Yeah.
And
I like that he's following up his archers with spearmen.
Yeah.
He's continuing to stream in archers.
Yeah.
But he's also got some spearmen coming in, which means right now, if you get a couple scouts out, well, that's a problem. So
fortunately,
you're buying food for gold, and I think that's a good play.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I really, really badly need some kind of response to this right away. And what he's doing, he's continuing to look for opportunities to just disrupt my economy,
Yeah. No, I think one of the things I would have done if I were you, and obviously that's, Monday morning quarterbacking. I think stables is a good play. I think you needed to, well, no, you've got a second stable. There it is. So 2 knights is enough to mop up pretty much everything he's got. Of course, he's got spearmen, but spearmen only tickle knights. They don't really damage them unless you get a few. You put down a second TC, which I think is, again, phenomenal. He's got his knights he's got his archers on the field. He's even gone into fletching, which is good in one sense. In the other sense, it's going to forestall his castle up. It has. And it's going to push back his infantry spam.
Yeah, now I gotta say, at this point, I actually think there are definitely some positive things here. I have much less idle TC time. I'm in Castle Age. He's only just now teching up to Castle. I'm able to get that second TC going, and the hope is that'll give me a much stronger economy. So, I'm feeling like this is probably working out for me. Get my.
I gotta say
my
though,
5 knights.
Yeah, a Goth castle is a lot bigger deal than a Lithuanian castle unless you've gotten relics. If you've gotten relics, it balances out a bit. But kind of like we talked about in the Noob Cup, where the Viking bonus is one that's passive, it requires 0 effort to capitalize on.
Right.
The Viking or the Goth bonus here is cheaper infantry. They're going to be cheaper.
I want to point out
what he does.
I don't know if this is a mistake or not, but what I'm doing is, as he's pumping out spearmen, I am not trying to wipe out his feudal age military. I'm swinging him to the back line, and I'm trying to get Vil kills. I want to cause as much eco damage as possible, because I know that's like my only hope here is to get like an eco lead. Now, I get some kills. It's pretty cool. But one thing that I do that I think is a mistake is I go under the TC, I get a couple of kills, and then I lose my knights. And right now I have no military in the field. And looking back, definitely with the bird's eye view, it would have been so much better to swing around, see what else is... Yeah, I'd scouted out the gold earlier. Why didn't I swing over to the gold and, knock him off gold there and... accomplish those sorts of objectives. I think I kind of wrote them off, and I wrote them off too early.
Yeah.
So,
especially because now he's got a second TC up. He's got wood. He's got food via farms. He's got stone covered by a TC. The thing is, kind of like you mentioned, the gold. His gold is vulnerable, and it's going to stay that way for a little while.
Right.
It's not covered by a TC. It's not covered by significant military.
Right.
So right now he's in a good position, but he's vulnerable.
Right. A part of that too, and I don't know that this was even an option. Maybe I could have used some market situation to get there. I did not have any blacksmith decks. And if I had had armor on the knights, they could have absorbed so much more damage. Look at this. He's able to get in with these archers and spearmen.
Yeah. This is tough. And he's just gotten a siege workshop up. So, if it's just a question of these archers and these spearmen versus your villagers, he's going to be able to raid, but you're still able to produce. And it's a little bit of a net wash, maybe even a hit for him. He gets out 2 mangonels, and that whole story goes on its head. The whole story.
Right. Yeah, here, again, he's got pikemen now, and, this is one of those situations where, again, and I'm giving Tom credit here, it's like, the Lithuanian strategy is so obvious that if you're playing against a Lithuanian player, or like a Frank player or something like that, they're strong, but if you just play straight into scouts and the knights or something like that, right, the strategy is so obvious that you have a bonus if you're the more flexible player. And for me, I'm thinking, boy, especially with all the wood I had earlier, turn that into more food, and then what if I go skirmishers, and knock out the pikemen and the archers in one go, right? Now, I'm kind of fortunate in that he sort of loses control of his army here, and a bunch of pikemen just died at the town center. So that's pretty cool. I've got... Not quite done. So I go raiding a second time, and I do the same thing. I'm raiding under the TC. Again,
no,
why?
See, this is a mistake. He goes rams and not mangonels.
Yeah,
rams make sense if they're supported by military. Archers who will kill the villas as they come out to deal with the rams. Rams by themselves, big mistake.
Tenfingertom says, oh my, because I send my entire economy out to deal with these rams before he can mess with the TC.
That's a mistake on his part. That's a lot of wood that just dove down the drain for him, and it's not coming back. So good for you. Well played. I think you've balanced those scales. I don't know if it's an even game yet. But the amount of wood and gold that he has just lost in order to make that and lose that ram play is significant. That's huge.
Right.
If he had gone mangonels, I think you would have lost the game straight up right there.
Perhaps. Yeah. Certainly, I think he had the potential to get a lot of damage out, with those mangonels. But here I go, raiding with a couple of scouts. And take a look at this. He's putting down a second barracks and a castle. I think you know what's coming. I think you know what a Goth player wants to do. And this is what I love is, what he has decided to do is go with a unique opening. As I finally raid the gold here. But he's going for a unique opening and getting me into a position where the Goth strength makes sense. Instead of just opening straight up with the Goth infantry and hoping it pans out for him. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially because, kind of like you said, I mean, all other things being equal, like tech choices, unit choices aside, he's got a castle up, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a castle up and 450 stone. He could throw up another TC or almost another castle straight up right where it's at.
Right.
So right now, if I had to place money, I'd bet on him, truly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially because, like I said before, the earlier you fight the Goths, the better you are. The later you have to bring that fight, the worse it is. And right now, you're going to be lucky if you bring the main fight before Imp, as his Imp comes in. Here we are. We're at 33 minutes.
Right. Yeah, well, this 34. Is a tough situation. Right now, I have the more valuable army, according to Capture Age, but he has a larger army. He knows I'm going knights, and I think he's largely got counters for that, 13 pikemen. He's going up to Imp with equal economy. Like, this is a tough situation to be in. Now, there are some positives. I've just picked up my 3rd relic, and I'm going for a 4th. So, I've got that in my back pocket. Now, my knights are, even without the blacksmith upgrades, they're pretty strong. So, that's, a boon for me. But yeah, this is... Right now, I'm kind of... At this point, I'm like scouting out, figuring, okay, can I break in and cause some damage? Because, again, I sort of have that, that idea you were talking about in the back of my mind. How can I hurt him early? How can I make sure I'm not waiting until, that post-imperial?
I like this. He's got an exposed mill set. Okay.
Yep, I'll take that, for sure.
That's a nice farm eco. It would be a shame if something happened to it.
Yep. That gives me an 8-vil lead. I mean, that's nice. But yeah, now he's in the Imperial Age. I am, once again, sweating bullets. I am not near Imp. And he's selling wood and he's using the market himself. My knights are just still on that mill, or they were on that mill. A little, I don't know if distracted is the right word, but I guess I was focused on other things. Now they're finally moving in for some more damage, and Tom plugs the hole just in time.
So all those vills gone. The mill is still alive, but it's not going to do any good.
Yep. And now my 4 knights, they're getting surrounded by pikemen.
Yeah,
I realize I got to back out.
Now, I'm glad you back out. Well, okay. There's a part of me that's like, no, go in. Go deeper in.
Well,
he can always just house wall beyond that, and that's exactly what it looks like happens.
And I only... What in the world happens here? I lose control of my knights. They go down.
Yeah.
Now, let me highlight something that I think is kind of a cool move, if I don't... mind tooting my own horn a little bit here. I am getting crossbowmen out. Something I hate is that I'm accidentally revealing that I've got crossbowmen coming out because they're attacking the houses. But I do finally realize, hey, even though I'm Lithuanians, they don't have bad archers. They've actually got a pretty good archer line. No bonuses, really, but they've got pretty good archers. So let me get archers out, and I'll try to, clear up these pikemen. And, you know, I think that there are some smooth moves to be had there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good move at this point, especially because, you know, like you said, he's going non-traditional Goths, which good for him, but it means you have to counter with non-traditional tactics.
Yep.
And alternatively, you know, by other tokens, yes, that's going to, you know, that's a tech into a unit that is largely easily countered by Goths, but that's not what he has on the field. He'll have to retool his economy to take advantage of that weakness, and action is quicker than reaction. So,
2 more knights that they spawn and then they die right away because he just so happens to get the pikeman horde. And now
on one hand, I kind of like the location of his second castle over here. It covers wood and stone, so there you go. On the other hand, it really doesn't help with his control of the map. And if you're a Goths player at this point, the whole game is forward, forward, forward.
Right. So here we go. Crossbows. Doing crossbow things. They've got Castle Age attack, but no defense.
Yeah.
And we do see, even though I wish I had the armor up so they could have absorbed some more hits, kept more of them alive, they do a pretty good job wiping out this Goth pike horde. And I got scorpions out too. I hope you like that. The rare scorpion.
You know, I love scorpions. Hey, edit moment. I'm sorry about this. I think I'm behind you in the play. What time are you at?
I'm at 42:35.
Yeah, I'm at 41:17 and I can't speed up.
Ooh. Okay. Well, then you're just going to be a couple minutes behind.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how you want to deal with that, but I'm going to be a little behind.
That's all right. That's all right. So the problem that you will see in a second Hiram is you go archers and scorpions. That's great. The Goths have a ready answer, right?
Yeah.
He's going to start going Huskarl. And so it's important for me at this point, as I do have a much stronger economy. That's the good news. I've got, well, I say it's stronger. I have more vills, right? So, you know, he's got 78 to my 93 vills. It's important that I have the knights up to take care of the Huskarl while keeping the crossbows up to deal with the pikemen.
And the big thing here is making sure that the right units attack the right units. If he manages to micro to where his pikemen are dealing with your cav and his Huskarls are dealing with everything else, you lose.
Right.
Like, it's all about making sure the right units are in the right place.
And
I like the little quick wall he gets up there. Good for him. That's a big deal. I don't think it's going to make a huge deal in many ways. Like, I think it would be better to let you kind of push in past his TC, because you're going to lose several guys trying to push in past that TC. There's no way to go where you don't lose a lot of guys. And walling it out just pushes you, you know, far enough outside the perimeter to where you can keep picking off vills. So good on the quick wall, but I don't necessarily think it's the right pick.
Right. So here, at this point, I've just hit Imp, and he's been in Imperial Age for, you know, I don't know how long now, however many minutes. There's a lot. I actually think that there's a fair bit going on in my favor. I have a chance here. You know, I think early on that archer pressure kind of threw me on the back foot, but now got a pretty strong eco. I feel like I've got the momentum. I got a castle up on his base. That's a good feeling. And he is going, but now we're in Imperial Age. He is the Goths. He is getting up his, he's got 6 barracks right now. And he has Huskarl, you know, on top of that. Yeah, we're in a tough situation. And I don't have a lot of gold. You know, I was trying to steal some of his gold. He saw that. He's got Huskarl that cleared up, you know, my vills stealing his gold. He's getting Trebs out now. Right now, it's looking kind of rough.
Yeah. Of course, the advantage to the Scorpion play that you were doing a second ago is that, you know, you can't shield your backline enough with Huskarls because, you know, they might only take 1 or 2 damage on the front end, but that round is still going to damage the units behind it.
Right.
You can't protect anything. It's not like archers where you can tank the initial shots with heavy units.
And this is one of the situations, I don't know if you saw this, but he was able to block off my knight's area of approach to the trebuchets. He was able to block them off with pikemen, and so I had to go the long way around. So I could not save my castle. My castle goes down to these trebs.
Nice.
I sacrificed my knights to kill one treb, which probably wasn't worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Getting some trebs of my own back at home. Even in a situation like this, my thought process is, how can I win the treb war? If I can get more trebs out, maybe Tom is the kind of guy that will be satisfied with one treb, two trebs, you know, and if I've got 4 or 5 up, then I can actually win, you know, those fights. Even though he's got 2 castles, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's raiding me with, you know, halberdier. I hate this. I hate this, Tom. You don't think about, you know, getting raided by halberdier, but, you know, he's, when it's that cheap, it's that easy to disrupt my economy, why not? Right?
I mean, cheap halbs are cheap halbs, especially because they counter your mainline unit. Your hope at this point is to go into a counter unit, which is not a good play, or to a trash unit, which is also not a good play.
Yeah, so this is one of those situations where what I should have been thinking at this point is, and here we go, there's a big fight in the center, and now he's bringing in Huskarl. He's got 15 Huskarl on the field.
Yeah.
And I realize I'm exclusively like archers and scorpions right now. That's a bad situation to be in.
And Huskarls are going to shred that like nobody's business.
And I'm trying to get knights out, but even then, even when I get the knights out, like, you know, now I've still got to fight with them, but not run into the halberdiers, which will immediately shred those knights.
Right.
So it's just a bad situation to be in.
So you've got to find a way to keep the knights on the right type of unit.
Right.
And the worst part is you know, we've reached spam central where the Goths can just stream in massive numbers.
Right.
Like, he's got the resources. He's a little low on food, but he's got plenty of gold. He can just stream more in, and if he needs food, he can buy food.
Right.
It's not that hard.
But this moment right here, watch this castle situation. I hate this so much. One treb goes down, and I could have sworn, like, I thought I had the treb down, but no. This treb stays up. The castle goes down.
No, so close.
And as soon as this happened, now look at the map. All right, I'm down 37 vills, right?
Oh, no.
And we're dealing with Goths in the Imperial Age. I am trying to figure out what do you do at this point?
Or you can go hand cannoneer. That's about it.
Boy, yeah, like hand cannons right now would have been amazing. Sure, but yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. So that leaves you with raid.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. I've got 6 knights, more knights I think coming out. And that's my hope is like, okay, this is the final, you know, game in a tournament. I've got to try something, right? So I'm going to go on the offense. But I'm realizing my Vil counts are just going down further and further and further.
Right. You're 27 to 83. You know, to quote you could activate a cheat code, delete the entire enemy army right now.
Exactly.
And you're still on the back foot.
Yeah. I think the only thing I've got for me is
96.
I have I've got treb control. I've got 4 trebs right now. He doesn't have any trebs.
You have treb control.
So I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I go on the offense and, you know, really try to do something serious here, I can at least like equalize the game, right? That's kind of my game plan. So I got the knights. I'm trying to distract the halberdier, kill the halbs, then get the knights on the Huskarl. But while I'm doing all this, and all right, I get the castle down. Good job. he's still raiding me at home.
Yeah. Man, that is a hard position. You're down to 14 bills to his 86.
Yep.
Ow. Ow, ow, ow.
Right.
Goths, man. Freaking goths.
Ow, indeed. Exactly. And this is one of those things, and it was sort of at this moment I was looking back and realizing I'm losing this game because I am not flexible enough. Yeah. Like I went in with the Lithuanians and I didn't think about it at the time. I was just thinking, hey, get relics and that'll be good for your knights. But what I'm realizing is I sort of went into the game just committed to knights no matter what. And my opponent was more flexible. He started out with the archer play.
Yeah.
He makes the switch between, halberdier and huscarl. It was a civ counter. And what I should have been doing is bringing out infantry or hand cannons, like you were saying. Something to counter what he has on the field. And I never really countered what he had. I just went with my power units. Well, I say never. I put crossbows out, which kind of counter the halberdier.
Yeah.
But, I was not as flexible as I needed to be. I could have, again, gone men-at-arms. I could have gone hand cannon. I'm pretty sure Lithuanians have hand cannon.
Yeah,
and,
I think they do.
And from there, I could have been countering him instead of just playing my own units and hoping that I just came out on top.
Right.
And at this point, I have no military, 7 vills is 91. So, and this is where I pull out an amazing strategy that wins me the game. I type in, how do I turn this on, and just steamroll him, and that's how you win.
Right, yeah.
Age of Empires tournament games. It's just that simple, guys.
Cobras beat everything, man.
Yeah.
Why try
Cobra
anything,
car for the win. Right.
Anything else?
And I was even, in my desperation here, I even put a second TC, out in the distance, hoping I could sneak, resources.
Yeah.
And, but no, he's got me, and I call the GG. So.
Tom, well played.
Yeah, my hat's off to you, Tom. I'll tell you a couple things. First off, scheduling the game with him and bantering back and forth. He's a really nice guy, just like Fede Almanco before him. Love this community, and Tom was a great example of the community. So really enjoy playing with him. Neat guy. Great strategies in both of these matches. I think I'm impressed with his game too, because he came up with the right kind of strategy for that map. But then, man, I think whether it was, I don't know if he predicted Lithuanians and Civ countered me, or if it's just good with Goths, but he played this map right and proved himself, at least, this round, the better AoE player. So really, really well done, Tom, and knocking me out of the Wandering Squires Cup. Really, really good job to him. So my hat's off to you, Tom, and good round, good games.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hiram?
Look, yeah. Well, congrats, Tom. I don't know if you're ever going to watch this, but I got to say, you've earned your victory here. This isn't a luck draw.
Right.
You did get some lucky moments, like in the last game, the mill between both pawns. That's lucky, in my opinion. So nice. But truly, here, I think we saw you earn your next role, your next round or series or whatever you want to call it. Well played. Yeah. Iron Kaiser is my friend, and so it always sucks to see him lose. But if you're gonna lose, it's nice to at least lose to somebody who's just outplayed versus gotten lucky. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel like he outplayed me. And I actually got to say, it definitely sucked to lose this set and to get out of the tournament. But something that stuck with me, it's like this game stuck with me. And I don't just mean in a, like, oh, I can't believe I lost sense. But it got me thinking about how did I do this wrong and how can I play it better next time.
Right.
And I have since played games against the Goths where this game has been in the back of my head, and I'm going, okay, I need to make sure that I do this thing over here in order to counter the kind of strategies that Tom puts on display. And it's stuff like make sure you think about hand cannons or men-at-arms and have a counter for that huscarl pike combination.
Right.
I just didn't really think about it in this match, and that's why I lost it. So... again, it's kind of one of those things where I've been thinking about this recently, is just the virtue of defeat, the value that can come from a good loss and how it can make you a better player in the long run. And so,
right.
Well,
one of my instructors from ages past, one of the things he said over and over has stuck with me, and that is, pain is the only teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was saying with that, you can take that the wrong way, but what he was saying with that is we learn from defeat in a way that we can't learn from victory. With victory, you never know if you got lucky or if you were better.
Right.
With defeat, though, you learn things. You understand things in a whole different way, in a way that no victory can ever teach you.
Right.
And, the opportunity to lose to somebody who just outplays you, I do use that word meaningfully. It is an opportunity, because sometimes you lose because your internet was worse, or because your teammate just decided to play SimCity instead of AoE, or whatever the case may be. But to lose in a worthy fight is its own beauty.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
I experienced that here. So again, well played, Tom. This is the end of my own Wandering Squires Cup journey, at least for this tournament, as a player. But the question remains, is this the end of my Wandering Squires Cup journey as a caster? And ladies and gentlemen out there in the YouTube audience, I wonder what you have to say about that. Leave a comment, the whole like and subscribe deal, but leave a comment as to, whether you want to see more of the Wandering Squires Cup. Should we continue to track tenfingertom on his own quest to Age of Empires glory? Let me know in the comments what you think. In this time, Hiram, unless you've got something else to say, I think that settles it for this round.
Nope. Good game. Well played.
Well played indeed.
It's not a cliche. I do mean it. Well played to both players. Well played to Tom. Best luck in your future games. And here's to the next.
Exactly. And with that, this is the Iron Kaiser along with Hiram of Tyre signing out for the AoE2 Wandering Squires Cup Round 16. We'll see you around next time.